Hi, my name's Keith, and I'm known as the Florida Stone Man, and today I'm going to be talking to you all about anti-affirmations. Now, what are these? I hope you guys have been watching my series, my past few videos, because they've been really important, like very, very important. If you're paying attention to what's going on in the world's getting very interesting. Unfortunately. I made a prediction that past February, something would be released, and it actually turned out to be the case, but not the way I expected it. Usually how prophecies go. We always expect one thing, but another thing happens. But when it comes to what's in the world now, it seems like every person who has some form of spiritual ability, spiritual power, someone who likes to heal themselves, someone who seeks healing, someone who moves themselves closer to God, someone who's looking to become the highest version of themselves, they're under constant attack from these beings. And black tourmaline is the best way to get rid of these beings, but after you wear the tourmaline with these beings especially, because if someone sends you a hex or a curse or any kind of black magic when you're wearing black tourmaline, it just goes back and it doesn't touch you at all. It doesn't. For any other form of demonic entity, they don't like it. They just flat out don't like it. For these beings, they can try to bypass it by doing ranged attack. So unless you have black tourmaline all in front of your yard with iron, preferably you can use nails in your front yard, you can use iron jewelry, but it's high carbon steel is what they don't like. So railroad spikes are the easiest and cheapest way to be able to protect your yard. Most people who I know do it. I know someone who used to work for the railroad, and it started occurring to me after I talked to him, which he's a very special person as well, him and his wife. But the thing is, this is really important because I'm wearing new rings, guys. Copper rings. Copper rings from FloridaStoneman.com, because you guys have been asking so much for copper. I'm like, okay, I'll do it my way. What about copper wire wrap? No, I have a wrap that'll not break and stay comfortable. But if you get stuck, then you can pull it off, because I've had rings where if you live in a climate such as Florida or whatever, it can get hot or it can get cold, or one day, like, you might lose 5 pounds, you might gain 5 pounds, and now it's stuck or it's loose. It's like, not with my rings, ha ha ha. You can get them from FloridaStoneman.com. All the rings you see are up. Double terminated design. This is just ring design number. I forget what I named this one. Metatron's orb, which people seem to have really liked. The steel lantern, which is really cool. But back to this video topic, because I'm not just going to be waving rings around and not telling you guys where they came from. We live in a world where the Bible talks about this heavily. It was removed from the Bible, the book of Enoch. You can't change history. You can't change it if you don't like it. That's that. You can ignore certain adversaries that are on this planet very close to us, underneath the ground, the Euphrates River, but these beings are now able to attack a little more. So I've seen people talk about, oh, there's more demonic attacks recently. What happened? Like, I hope you guys know, if you have tourmaline, you're safe from the attacks. But the only way they attack you after that is emotionally, and they'll do affirmation planting. This video is going to talk about just that. They have other ways to attack you, which I've been talking about. In this video, let's devote this to just affirmation planting, because this is something that people are just not aware of. Besides your connection to God, what else is the most powerful? And your connection to God is the most powerful thing ever. That will protect you from this. Although you do have to connect to your mind frame, to your higher self, to change certain beliefs, because when you speak, it comes back to you. When you do something, it comes back to you. But everything's based on our beliefs, which starts from the bank of our mind. The subconscious bank. So a bank of information. That's why when your guides wants to send you a message or a dream or something like that, they'll use something that's kind of familiar. They'll use someone you know. They'll use an animal you know, you've seen that week, etc. But they're doing something kind of familiar. So same thing as above, so below. So the enemy is doing the same thing, but just for bad. Because they have all the time in the world to just do bad. That's the only thing they can do, because God's not answering their prayers as they're underground. It's been said before, you guys have to read history. Even if it's been removed and hidden and it's scary, even though it's scary, you have to read it. Well, if you want to know who your enemies are. Now, and they're not even that scary, okay? If you protect yourself with black tourmaline, the blood of Jesus, moving yourself closer to God, being a good person, they just go for your emotions after that. And for where they go from your emotions is by affirmation planting. So your guides are constantly putting messages in your head. I hope you guys know that. People you're with put affirmations in your head without you knowing it. So here's an example. Let's use some examples. If you hang around people who are all extremely prosperous, they do well, they're entrepreneurs, a whole group of entrepreneurs or however you want to go, however you guys want to say it. But if you hang around a group of entrepreneurs and everyone is just on the same level subconsciously, but you might be very off. Like you just be the total opposite. So maybe you're like talking about video games or nothing has to do with entrepreneurship. You hang around them for about a couple months, you're gonna have the same thoughts they are. It's because we store a subconscious bank. So if something plays in their head, it will play in your head too. That's not your original thought. That's how you pick up on energy from people who you're around. For example, if you're around someone who constantly does bad things, which I can't say that constantly like if you get it, I can't say the word on here, but if you're around someone who constantly does that and you're only staying around them and you're just staying around them when they do it, then you're gonna have some of their affirmations, even though you don't do it, trickle into your head. So you'll have some kind of addicted tendencies to something. That's just how it works. People don't catch it, but just because you didn't catch it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Now, this is affirmation planting. This is happening all the time. People don't know it. So when you're around someone, here's another example from my gifted empaths watching my YouTube video. If you're around a person who is loving, and that person is just full of love, you're going to feel loved, and you're going to think it's your love. Essentially it is, but it's mainly the person who's around you and I'm not going to say it's not your love, but if you're not in a loving mood that day and you're all of a sudden in a loving mood, it's because that person's subconscious bank had I am loved, I am loving, etc. in a different variation of words in their head. What does that mean? When you're around that person, you're picking up on their affirmations, but you don't realize it. You just think it's your own energy. But when something negative happens, now you think it's your own energy. It's like, oh. So, and there's some funny TikTok videos online. Not every one of our thoughts is actually our own, and nothing is really new. Energy can't be created or destroyed, so that's why when you get a really crazy thought pop into your head sometimes, or you'll hear someone's name before they call you, etc., it's because we share a bank of thoughts. We share it with angels, we share it with each other, but unfortunately we share it with demons as well, things that used to be angels. So, like I said, your guard is very down when you get a positive affirmation, so no one really questions, like, where'd this loving thought come from? But people don't do that. That's just not it. It's just people, their angel will send them a thought, I love you. You are loved. I'm with you. And they'll just feel really happy, and they don't know why. And they don't question why. But the second the negative affirmation starts popping in your head, because when your angel tells you, I love you, you're reading that, it pops into your own head, I feel loved, I feel good. But that's not the original message. It just got telephone called. Same thing with telepathy from demons. So these this group of angels under the Euphrates River who are chained in a very particular place. They can't really do much but communicate with humans. They can't talk to God because God has already rejected them for what they did. And you better read up on the history of, read the book of Enoch, because you'll know what I'm talking about. End times is coming up, so you better know so it doesn't hit you by surprise. If it makes you uncomfortable, then maybe that's where you should do shadow work in, because it's something you can't avoid. I've been trying to not teach this topic for a long time, but so many people are under attack from these beings, especially after February. I'm like, great. Here I go having to teach about this, and no other YouTuber is talking about it, so this is kind of awkward, but when God picks you to teach something, I'm not teaching my truth. I'm teaching the truth. I'm teaching what's known. I'm teaching what's coming from the Bible. I'm teaching things that people are not willing to talk about, but the people who are not willing to talk about it are the people getting attacked. So these beings, this group of fallen angels are constantly. It doesn't matter how protected you are, because we kind of took them on in human history. So we kind of let them in. We kind of accepted them, even though it wasn't, like, we had the intuition back then, like, hey, you shouldn't take advice from these things. Hey, you shouldn't mate with these things, because humans did mate with them. Yeah, and they made mighty men of renown. Do your research. Make sure you're doing your research, because do your research, guys. But here's the thing. When it comes to subconscious affirmations, because I only have 15 minutes in the video and I can't talk about one thing for too long, you guys have to do your research. But understand, if you're doing good, if you're doing wonderful, if you're doing amazing, and a random thought pops in your head and you're just like, what was that? People are not trained to feel. I'm telling you. I'm gonna give you guys an assignment. At the start of every day and at the end of every day, write 7 things you feel when you wake up and 7 things when you feel when you go to sleep. Throughout your entire day, you picked up on something. You picked up on something your entire day. So it could have been something good or something bad. We're always going to pick up on something, and it's going to always be good or always be bad. It doesn't really matter, because we're always picking up on something. We're not here to just not experience anything, okay? So these beings are around, especially when you have a blessing coming, especially when you're about to be more protected, especially when you're about to have some kind of new thing come into your life. Then they'll show up to try to block it, slap it, and the best way they can do it is to get you emotionally off guard. They acknowledge that humans are master manifestors through the Most High God. In our free will, because people are like, oh, I'm tired, I'm not feeling good. That's your free will, and you're sending that word out about yourself, and it's coming back to you, and you're getting more of that. Now, I tell people, the best way before you fall asleep, for example, is if you want to have a good sleep, say before you go to sleep, I have slept an amazing, wonderful sleep. Versus if you say I'm tired all the time, you'll go to sleep tired and you'll wake up tired. I wonder why. It's because you chose those words earlier, but you didn't realize the power that the words held. So what does that mean? What does this mean? It means that these beings can actually send you messages just because they're on the same planet as us. Just like a human can send us, just like our guides and our humans can send us a message, there's no 100,000 way to block these beings' messages. You can mute them very low, and they almost cannot get through. But they'll try every now and then to be able to get through. And when they do, you'll feel sad. You'll feel depressed. You'll feel drained. You won't feel happy. You'll feel angry, guilty, sorrowful. Sometimes for people feeling really good, they'll feel prideful or egotistical, which they'll feel a category of negative emotions, which I have talked about. And from there, that's an in. It depends on how your soul as a person reacts to those. So they'll always pull up a past trauma, a past experience, a past whatever, and they'll bring it up and associate it with those feelings so you feel more of them. So what you think you're doing is you think your past trauma is popping up out of nowhere randomly when they're just bringing it up to the surface to have you connect with that. So at that point, you were having a fine day, but this randomly popped into your mind out of nowhere. Now you're feeling your past trauma, plus you're feeling these bad emotions. And now those bad emotions translate to affirmations. So if you feel them, you're going to act on them most likely. So let's just say you're feeling bummed out. Well, they pull up the past trauma that they added some, because these things emphasize. All they do is emphasize. So they emphasize on the past emotions. They emphasize on trauma. You've been fine, but you don't recognize that this is not 100% your anger, 100% of your guilt, fear, emotions, etc. They're in a very confined place full of anger and hatred and rage, and they're just sending you a little bit of what they feel added with your past trauma. So on top of that, when someone asks you how you're doing, you're like, oh, what am I doing? So everything is being steered to you manifesting something not good into your day. If you act on anger, fear, guilt, etc. that these beings will conjure up and send towards you, then guess what happens? You're going to manifest it for the next week, for the next month. Sometimes these beings can't actually reach you guys. Sometimes they can't. Sometimes their messages are just flat out blocked by your angels. Flat out blocked by Jesus. But when these messages can't reach you, if you didn't pray to not have nightmares, they can try to give you a nightmare. So they'll try to give you a nightmare of something that you think, because usually our guides will send us visions of the future, right? But what happens, because we can see the future sometimes when we sleep, when we wake up. So these beings know that. Of course they do. That's how they get you to manifest it, because you're so trusting in your sleep. You're so trusting in the messages you get from your guides that when you wake up after you have a nightmare, it's like, oh, my guides are telling me that something really bad is going to happen. When nothing really bad is going to happen, it's just that these beings are extremely clever and intelligent, and they slip something into your subconscious mind that was from the past, but they kind of emphasized because they knew it was a fear of yours. And now you're thinking about it. You thought about it for a week. You started talking to people about it. You started writing it down. Now you're manifesting what they just sent you. That was their goal. These beings rely on you to manifest because they can't do anything outside of sending you stuff. But they know how to send people stuff because that's all they can do. That's all. They're bound up. They're under the Euphrates River and they can't really do much of anything. These fallen angels will literally have you manifesting stuff. So what's the answer to combating this? So it seems like it'll make it seem like you'll just want to give up by the time they're done sending you stuff. You're like, where did this come from? You'll have feelings of impending doom. They'll take away. They can't fully take away. They can emphasize you not being able to see the bigger picture anymore. All these feelings of just, whoa. Like, whoa, what is this? It's like all these doom feelings will pop up. That's just them emphasizing stuff. That's them sending you a little bit of what they feel. Energy can't be created or destroyed. What do? I'm going to tell you the easiest way to combat this, and for the people who watch my videos, you'll have the true knowledge right here. Right, and the thing is, you can't not know exactly how you feel, because if you don't know exactly how you feel, these things will actually make you feel something because you don't even know how you feel. So if you can name 15 things right now you're feeling, and be honest with yourself. You're probably by yourself watching this video. Write down, get a pen and a notepad. Get a pen and a notepad. I don't have a notepad nearby, but get a pen and a notepad. So actually, maybe it's a good thing because my handwriting is pretty bad. It's I don't think it's bad, but it's like hieroglyphic like, so other people think it's bad, but I think it looks cool and artistic. But take these 15 emotions and write them down. Cross each one of them out and replace it with a positive emotion, and until you have like 20 words of just positive words. And now look at what you were feeling that was bad. Those were your weaknesses. But what you crossed out and you replaced them with are now your strengths. Now put it together where you take all these positive words and you look at the negative ones and you're like, some of these might not be my own. So identify like, hey, this actually might not be me. This might not be my own. Something's up. I was feeling good. And these things will have you, like, they'll emphasize negative affirmations or negative feelings to have you making negative affirmations or even sending you entire sentences depending on your gifts. But they'll have you manifesting it for them. Just so you can have chaos and they can reap the energies of that chaos because they're an energy of chaos themselves. So after you write all these emotions down, you put them together in a sentence and you say, I am. Now let's just say you were angry. Now you say, I'm calm. Let's just say you were sad. Now you're saying, I'm happy. I am, and let's just say you were worried. Now I'm not worried. I'm calm. Let's just say you were afraid. Put brave, courageous. Let's just say you were just 100 different things, and you'll have a whole list of affirmations and write it in red. Red represents the blood of Jesus, especially when you write it down. And write all this down, and you'll read down the list. I'm happy, I'm great, I'm wonderful, I'm awesome, I'm creative, I'm bold, I'm full of passion, I'm excited, I'm feeling good, I'm feeling amazing, I'm feeling wonderful, I'm feeling just all these different words, 20 different words, 21 different words. And at the very bottom put, I am very grateful, thank you God. Write this down on a piece of paper and tape it above somewhere you look at every single day. If this is your desk, it has to be right across from your desk so your third eye is reading it. Now you'll say it 3 times a day out loud. Your entire life will change. You won't undergo those same attacks. It'll go in the direction you're heading because These beings can't do anything at all until you manifest it. They can't attack you like that until they get you to attack yourselves. Okay? So after you do this, because your life is kind of, I'm going to tell you right now, because if you're watching this video towards the very end, you deserve this knowledge. If you're not doing a bunch of affirmations every single day, your life's on autopilot. I don't like saying that, but it's true. Your life is flat out on autopilot and heading in a direction where if you're not 100% sure, and they're not 100% when they're, not everyone, I'm not going to say everyone, but a lot of people when they talk to God, they're not going through every single wish, what they want to feel. They might be leaving stuff out, and that might be impacting them. God will always answer the gaps, but you have to, as a person, claim it yourself. You have to ask for it yourself. You have to be very specific because you'll keep that goal in mind. So you can take this red ink and paper and that you tape on the wall. You can pray with it. You can ask God to bless it. You can read it. Read it 3 times a day, and your life will no longer be on autopilot. Those attacks won't be very strong because you're not on autopilot anymore. You're going in the direction that you need to go in, or want to go in, not need. I never need, I just succeed. Someone reminded me of that affirmation I said a long time ago, and I'm very glad to help that person, but that's a thing. These things know that you're on autopilot and that you're a master creator, master manifester through the Most High God. So they're going to get you to manifest doom and chaos and fear, because if you're not 100% sure that that's not what you're manifesting that day, right? And you can even journal this. So write down everything you want. Everything you'd like to see in that day. Or you just have to do this once and just read it out loud 3 times a day. Your day stops being on autopilot. So your day is automatically going with the flow. If the water is going this way, you're going this way too. But when the flow leads to some rocks, to bumps, then what are you going to do? Versus you, with these affirmations, what happens is it doesn't matter how much you don't think the affirmations are going to work. It doesn't matter. Just say them because it takes you off autopilot, especially autopilot of these beings and what they want to do with you. So that's the best way you can do it. If you have any questions, ask them in the comments section. I'll make more videos like this. These are longer topics. I can't go on for a long video, but this is really going to help people who deserve the help. This is actual advice that's going to actually save people and change lives. If you have any questions, ask them in the comment section. If you like your own rings and other things, you can go to floridastoneman.com. Until then, I'll see you guys next time. Ciao.